Tonight, Ron DeSantis drops out of the race for the White House and endorses Donald Trump.
I am today suspending my campaign.
Donald Trump and Nikki Haley will now battle it out for the Republican nomination.
Do you think the race is still a race, or is it done now?
It's done.
CBC News is in New Hampshire ahead of a critical test. The urgent calls to address Canada's doctor shortage.
1 in 3. 1 in 3 of us will not have a family doctor.
Why some fear a dire situation could soon get worse.
Comes our way.
And Michael Bublé on the moments that changed everything and why he almost gave up before becoming a superstar.
They would all say the same thing. They would go, you know, you're a talented kid, but there's nothing here, man.
This is The National with Ian Hannamansing.
And we begin tonight with a major shakeup in the race for the White House. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is suspending his campaign, and he's throwing his support behind Donald Trump. DeSantis making that announcement in a surprise video this afternoon, leaving just 2 candidates now vying for the Republican nomination: former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and the former U.S. President Donald Trump. All of this is playing out just days before the next major test for the pair, the Republican primary in New Hampshire on Tuesday. And that's where our Paul Hunter is tonight.
And all of a sudden, it's down to 2.
Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign. It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, once seen as a likely heir to Donald Trump in the Republican Party, dubbed younger and smarter than the former president, now ending his bid to be the Republican nominee for the White House this November, leaving Trump and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley as the last 2 candidates, with DeSantis now backing Trump.
He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed-over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents.
We want Trump! We want Trump!
Outside a Trump rally in Rochester, New Hampshire, that state's Republican primary just 2 days away, Trump supporters, all kinds of them, who'd waited hours in the cold and dark just for a glimpse of him, were thrilled. Have you heard the news today about Ron DeSantis?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Do you think the race is still a race, or is it done now?
It's done. Haley can't handle it. So it's Donald.
Inside, Trump made clear his view: the contest for the Republican nomination is over.
2 days from now, we're going to win New Hampshire, and then we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, and we are going to, in fact, make America great again.
Indeed, Haley, seen by some as the last of the anyone but Trump candidates, is far behind Trump in most polls. This weekend, stepping up her criticism of the former president after Trump repeatedly misspoke, once seeming to confuse Joe Biden with Barack Obama, later seeming to confuse Haley with former Democrat Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi.
Nikki Haley.
Haley pounced, though, say some, too little, too late.
We can't have someone else that we question whether they're mentally fit to do this. We can't.
And Paul is in New Hampshire tonight. What are you watching for in the lead up to Tuesday?
Well, in truth, Ian, not much. I mean, Nikki Haley could drop out, though I suspect that won't happen right away. But with DeSantis now gone, look, it's basically over. No one doubts Trump will win big Tuesday night, that he will then win in South Carolina, Nikki Haley's home state, that he will then win big on Super Tuesday and in the multitude of states that follow. And so no one doubts now that Donald Trump will win the Republican nomination, and that come the fall, it will be Joe Biden versus Donald Trump for the White House again.
Paul Hunter in a cold Concord, New Hampshire tonight. The possibility of another Trump presidency is expected to be a focus at the Liberal cabinet retreat underway tonight. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his ministers are meeting until Tuesday in Montreal. In addition to discussions about Canada-U.S. relations, housing and the rising cost of living are also on the agenda. Rafi Boudjikanian is in Montreal for us tonight. And Rafi, the Liberals are under a lot of pressure heading into this retreat.
Ian, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives have been hammering away at the Liberals over cost of living issues for the last year, accusing them of being out of touch with Canadians at a time inflation has sent grocery prices skyrocketing. Mortgages have become unaffordable for many, so it's small wonder the government cabinet is holding panels on housing as well as the middle class. They're expected to hear from academic experts in housing and the economy during these sessions. And the Liberals are also expected to tackle immigration issues. There have been reports a little over a week ago that they ignored internal warnings that said that raising immigration levels could lead to higher housing prices. The government has come to admit that that may be an issue, though they've also defended raising immigration levels, citing the needs for the Canadian economy post-pandemic.
And there's also what's playing out south of the border, the race for the White House.
That is correct. Now, that may seem a little bit counterintuitive, but there will be a panel on Canada-U.S. relations. Donald Trump is a concern for many Canadians. He's unpopular here. The Liberals know this. This may be the start of a bit of a political wedge issue for them. We've already seen messaging from the Liberal Party trying to link Trump to Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. So it's clear the Prime Minister is watching his own polling numbers, but he's also keeping an eye on what's going on south of the border and what that could mean for his own electoral fortunes. Ian?
Rafi Boudjikanian in Montreal. It isn't just housing that hasn't kept pace with Canada's booming population. Millions of Canadians don't have a family doctor. JP Tasker now with why some fear the shortage is only going to get worse.
Marilyn Gifford is fed up with the chronic shortage of family doctors in her area.
That's 1 in 3. 1 in 3 of us will not have a family doctor.
She's been out pounding the pavement in Sarnia, Ontario, collecting signatures for a petition aimed at changing that.
It says here, your family's life may depend upon it.
It's part of a grassroots effort calling on the provincial government to fund more medical residency spots.
I talked to over 2,900 people myself, and the stories are horrible. There is no primary care available to the average person now.
A CBC News analysis of medical school data shows the number of medical residents has been stagnant for the last 10 years. Nationwide, there's only 167 more spots than there were a decade ago. Meanwhile, Canada's population has surged by about 5 million.
The numbers are staggering.
Another concern, a waning interest in family medicine. Only 30% of new medical residents choose to work in that field, down from nearly 38% in 2014, according to school records. That's one reason this doctor says why 6.5 million Canadians go without primary care.
We are simply not graduating enough family medicine residents to meet that need.
You can actually magnify the image.
One solution is making it easier for foreign-trained doctors to practice here. Canada's employment minister says the provinces need to speed up credential recognition.
You can put artificial barriers to people accessing the labor market. We can't afford that anymore.
Gifford won't give up her fight.
We are in crisis mode here. There's no way we're going to catch up by continuing to do what we've been doing, because we're falling behind.
What isn't falling? Emergency room visits. They spiked to 15 million last year, according to the latest data. That's up more than 1 million from the year before. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
In the UK, the Duchess of York has been diagnosed with skin cancer just months after receiving treatment for breast cancer. Sarah Ferguson had several moles removed while undergoing reconstructive surgery following a mastectomy. One of those has been identified as cancerous. The 64-year-old will undergo more tests. A number of planes struggled to touch down at Heathrow Airport in the middle of a powerful windstorm.
Oh, she's up, she's down, she's gone.
The storm disrupted travel and prompted wind warnings across the UK. Tornado watches were also issued in Northern Ireland, parts of England and Scotland. Wind gusts of more than 140 kilometers an hour have been reported. And another bitterly cold weekend across much of the U.S. as lingering Arctic air brought winter storms from the Northeast to the Midwest. It's expected to warm up in the next few days. But with that comes the risk of freezing rain and flooding. More than 80 people have died across the U.S. due to the extreme winter weather over the past week. Israel's prime minister is explicitly rejecting the possibility of a Palestinian state as Israel and Hamas continue their war. Katie Simpson now on the outrage and fear as the reported death toll in Gaza passes a terrible new milestone.
They want the pressure to be relentless. Demonstrators gathering well into the night outside the Israeli prime minister's residence.
My son is one of 136 hostages still being held somewhere in Gaza, and it's been 107 days, and I'm here to make noise to say we need to bring these hostages home.
It followed yet another large weekend protest where thousands denounced the government's handling of this crisis. But there is no change in course for now. The war continues on all fronts, according to Israel's prime minister. Benjamin Netanyahu is rejecting calls to back a two-state solution, despite a fresh push from U.S. President Joe Biden during a weekend phone call. I told President Biden, he says, Gaza must be demilitarized under Israel's full security control. I will not compromise on full Israeli security control of all territory west of the Jordan River. Denying Palestinian people a state will prolong this conflict, says the UN Secretary General, who called again for a humanitarian ceasefire.
Israel's military operations have spread massive destruction and killed civilians on a scale unprecedented during my time as Secretary General.
Since the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel, which killed 1,200 people, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 25,000 people have been killed there. In Rafah, prayers are said over the bodies of men who mourners say were killed when an Israeli airstrike hit their vehicle. Where is safety, asks this mother, who says she's lived through multiple airstrikes as she traveled to and from different camps for displaced people. Where is safety, she asks over and over.
Katie, all of this comes amid more concern this weekend that this conflict is expanding.
Yeah, there are a couple of significant developments to point to. At least 2 U.S. soldiers stationed at an airbase in Iraq were hurt in an attack by an Iranian-backed militia, and that came hours after Iran vowed retaliation for the killing of 5 senior Iranian intelligence officials in Syria. Iran is blaming Israel for that airstrike in Damascus, so, Ian, instability is expanding across the region.
Katie Simpson reporting from Washington. There is also growing concern over Russia's war in Ukraine after an attack this weekend killed dozens in Russian-held territory. Officials in the Russian-held city of Donetsk say Ukraine shelled this market, killing at least 27 people. The Ukrainian president didn't address the attack, but blamed Russia for strikes across the country. With Kyiv short on soldiers and ammunition, it's gradually losing ground. Russia is wearing Ukraine down on several fronts, with another setback in the country's northeast, where Russia has been advancing slowly for months. This weekend, Ukraine acknowledged it lost another village here. Ukraine had captured the same village along with Russian prisoners of war more than a year ago. Kyiv downplayed the loss. But there is concern in Washington, where aid packages for Ukraine have been held up in Congress.
If we walk away and Russia is able to sustain their onslaught and bring down Ukraine, what do you think is going to happen in the Balkan countries?
The worry is the time for Ukraine is running out as attention turns to the U.S. election. Thousands are gathering in India's northern city of Ayodhya ahead of the opening Monday of a temple to prominent Hindu god Ram. Construction isn't even complete, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi will host an elaborate ceremony tomorrow. The contested site once held a 16th century mosque destroyed by a Hindu mob in 1992. The temple was a key promise from Modi and his Hindu Nationalist Party, and its opening is just a few months ahead of India's national election. Police in Winnipeg are investigating the circumstances behind a video that shows an Indigenous woman being restrained in the lobby of a hotel. The hotel says she was threatening people with a knife, but as Karen Pauls explains, there are angry calls for answers tonight.
Protesters took over the lobby of the Marlborough Hotel. These sisters angry and anguished.
I'm here because what happened at this hotel was wrong. My heart, it just hurt. I was so devastated. I was like, because these things happen all the time.
They saw this video posted on social media of an incident on Christmas Day.
We're taken in the basement now, apparently.
The woman sobbing, her hands apparently tied behind her back with zip ties. She calls one of the men a pervert and tries to leave, but is restrained.
She's trying to run.
No one from the Marlborough would talk to us about what happened here on that day, but they provided a statement saying that at about 1 o'clock, an intoxicated female came into this lobby with a knife and started threatening people. They phoned Winnipeg police, who told them to protect our guests and staff, which they did using wrist restraints. Police did come and arrest the woman.
She was charged with assault with a weapon. Indigenous people stay here when they come to Winnipeg for medical appointments. First Nations leaders want that to end.
What has happened here is inhumane. What has happened here is a disgrace.
We'll make sure that we will follow up with Health Canada, who puts our people here. They are no longer going to disrespect our people that are put here.
Police say it's not clear if this can be considered a citizen's arrest, but that wrist ties can be used to restrain people, although handcuffs are preferred. They've opened another investigation into the circumstances of the video. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The head of FIFA is calling for major changes following multiple racist acts by fans.
Nobody should have to deal with that.
The potential penalties facing offenders and the team they're supporting. Plus, customers call out Loblaw after its latest PR blunder.
They don't seem to care. They just, want their very high profit margins.
Why some say we're at a tipping point. And
I'm feeling good.
Michael Bublé opens up about breaking into the music industry.
I said, but if you give me a chance, I will work my ass off.
And the call that confirmed he finally made it. We're back in 2. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets across Germany this weekend to protest a far-right political party. This comes after reports that members of the AfD, or Alternative for Germany party, met with far-right extremists to discuss the deportation of millions of people. The AfD has denied the claims. That party is currently polling second in nationwide opinion surveys. The head of soccer's governing body, FIFA, is calling for change after a pair of disturbing incidents this weekend in Europe. 2 black players subjected to racist abuse from fans in different cities on the same day. Thomas Dagla now on the condemnation and the possible consequences.
2 disturbing events on the same day are raising concerns about the ugly side of the beautiful game. Spotting what appeared to be racist taunts in the crowd, Coventry City soccer star Casey Palmer turned to the referee to complain. Fans of the opposing team, Sheffield Wednesday FC, were caught on camera making monkey gestures. The racist abuse prompting an outcry across the English Football League, and this social media post from Palmer. "Racism is a disgrace," he wrote. "It feels like things will never change."
When it's racism, it oversteps. I mean, nobody should have to deal with that.
Well, Magnon has left his goal.
But the same day in Italy's top league, it happened to another black player. AC Milan's Mike Maignan walked off the pitch, the game suspended after the French goalkeeper reported hearing repeated racist chants thrown in his direction. "This shouldn't exist in the world of football," he said, but unfortunately for many years, this is a recurrence. Last year, it was Real Madrid superstar Vinicius Jr. speaking out about racist abuse. Before him, 3 black players on the England team suffered harassment after missing penalty kicks at the Euro Championship. Now Gianni Infantino, the head of soccer's global governing body FIFA, is calling for harsher penalties, including an automatic forfeit for the team whose fans have committed racism.
I hope that what he does then is to provide the further information behind what he means by forfeit.
Infantino has led FIFA for nearly 8 years, and some domestic leagues are still failing to crack down on long-standing racism, says this activist.
I know, having watched American sports, that this sort of degree of problem is not something that most North Americans can envisage.
Now, that anti-discrimination advocate has a warning for cities like Toronto and Vancouver getting set to host the Men's World Cup in 2026. He says that tournament is likely to bring with it racist abuse in stadiums and on the streets, Ian.
An unsettling warning. Thomas, police are investigating at least one of the incidents you mentioned.
Yet local police in England have confirmed they're investigating and working to identify the fans involved in the racist taunts captured on video in Sheffield. And in cases like that, the head of FIFA has said that not only should police get involved, but the perpetrators need to be banned from stadiums too, Ian.
Thomas Dagra in Toronto. Despite Loblaw's reversal, customers are lashing out after plans to reduce a discount.
To have that idea in the first place, that kind of, I don't know, makes me kind of regret going here now.
The calls for more competition in Canada's grocery landscape. Plus, a Canadian school is easing a long-time ban on nuts.
There wasn't great literature to support the practice.
The reason for the change and the pushback from concerned parents.
Why reverse it?
But first, he's a global superstar who nearly called it quits.
They would go, you know, you're a talented kid, but there's nothing here, man.
The moment that changed the course of Michael Bublé's career. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Ottawa's Rideau Canal has finally reopened to skaters. It remained closed last winter for the first time in its history because of the unseasonably warm weather. So today was the public's first chance to skate on the canal in nearly 700 days.
Oh, I love being outside, and it's a beautiful sunny day, so I'm glad it's open, and I'm glad that we can actually enjoy some winter weather, even though it's freezing.
Still, only 1 kilometer of the nearly 8-kilometer skateway is open. Officials say they'll open more sections as ice conditions become safer. Lots of reaction this weekend after grocery giant Loblaw suddenly reversed its plan that would have rolled back discounts on food that was about to hit its best before date. Sarah Levitt now with why some are still calling out the company.
Well, I think it's kind of shady.
Even after Loblaw backtracked, shoppers are still frustrated.
At least they reversed it. I mean, but to have that idea in the first place, that kind of, I don't know, makes me kind of regret going here now, you know?
Loblaw plans on cutting its discount on food that's about to expire from 50% to 30%, saying the shift would have been consistent with the other major grocers. In a statement, the company said, "We've listened to the feedback from our customers and colleagues." That feedback was outrage from across the country, prompting Loblaw to reverse its decision and to keep the discount at 50%.
They don't seem to care. They just, want their very high profit margins. And, it's kind of like a middle finger to people.
We have to live with it, and we have no control over it. Nobody's helping us.
The Canadian grocery giants have been under increased scrutiny. Their CEOs called to Ottawa to come up with a plan to stabilize food prices.
Canadians see Loblaw as the poster child for most wanted.
This retail analyst says many shoppers feel there isn't much they can do to counter high grocery prices.
You take the big three, Metro, Loblaw, and Empire, you add in Walmart and Costco, and you got maybe 70% of the market. That's a very concentrated market, okay, where the players have a lot of power.
And Canadians are mad. This latest reversal from Loblaw could be a tipping point.
I think it's important to actually make grocers accountable as much as possible. And right now, they get away with a lot.
In this case, it was the public holding Loblaw accountable. The company says the reduced discount hadn't yet been implemented in Atlantic Canada, and the rest of the country should see 50% stickers back in their stores in a few weeks. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Now let's break down the news shaping our world. A school is lifting the ban on nuts in kids' lunches.
There wasn't great literature to support the practice.
Though not everyone's on board.
Why reverse it?
But first.
And I'm feeling good.
Michael Bublé's meteoric career had a rocky start.
It finally got to a point where it was just over.
But one man helped set him on a path that changed everything.
I had done this.
I sat down with the Canadian superstar at his home in the Vancouver suburb of Burnaby to discuss his incredible success and the people who inspired him.
For people who don't know your music, don't know your story, how does a kid in Burnaby in the 90s embrace Sinatra?
Well, partly because I had a grandfather who I was really close to, who just loved music, loved that music. You know, this was his, it's funny, you know, a plumber, never sang in his life, but just had a deep reverence for Dean Martin, Bobby Darin, Ella Fitzgerald, the Ink Spots, the Mills Brothers. And then you mix that with a kid who loved it. I genuinely thought it was the greatest. I didn't understand how other kids my age weren't, how could they not love it too? And then add the fact that I felt like it made me unique. And I think all of us want to be unique. All of us want to be special. All of us want to have that different thing, that different hairdo, you know, stylistically listen to a different music or like that movie that no one else likes, because that's us. That's why, you know, I'm different from you, and that's what makes me unique. And so I think a big part of that was like, wow, this really imprinted on me. And I listened, ached, studied, lived. I fantasized about it. I would manifest it, and I still to this day manifest things. I have a really rich imagination, and I would sit, whether it was working on my dad's fishing boat or in my car, in my Pontiac LE 6000, you know, with my cassette that Grandpa had made, I would constantly just visualize and try to make this happen.
I've interviewed a lot of people, and a number of them will talk about the impact their parents had. You're the only person I've ever spoken to who speaks about their grandfather in the way you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like it was an incredible relationship.
Well, just, you know what? Sometimes God puts people on the planet that are just simpatico. That was my soulmate. And it's interesting because now that soulmate was reborn in my kids, you know. But I was 17 when I started working. My grandpa started getting me gigs, you know. Grandpa said, you know, he's a plumber. I'll do free plumbing if you let my grandson get up in the bar with you. There was going to Dave Korn's house, who was a trumpet player, and Grandpa fixing his I believe it was his carburetor. And Dave taking me to the Hotel Vancouver for a corporate event. And I think I got 20 bucks. And but it was not about getting, there was no money. It was just, you know, my grandpa taking me to auditions. And of course, man, it's exhilarating though to live on potential. Potential's a really beautiful feeling, you know.
It's one thing though to manifest this life as a singer of standards. It's another thing to actually turn that into success. You know, I read that things were so bad for you, Michael, at one point, you were considering becoming a journalist.
So terrible.
Oh my
Could you
goodness.
imagine how low you have to go?
I can't.
To want to be a journalist?
Oh.
For me, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean.
You know what though? Truthfully, I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, okay? I have a ton of reverence for journalism and for people that have this impossible hunger to tell the truth and actually truly are interested in human beings and wanting to tell that story. And so I like people, and I love this business. And I was like, man, you know what? If I'm not the one they're doing the story on, then you know what? Maybe I can be the one who tells the story. So yeah, I thought of going back because I just couldn't, just wasn't going to happen for me. It wasn't. I was 25, living in Toronto, working at, doing Healy's. Jeff Healy had a place. But by the time I would finish on a Monday or Thursday night and I'd get paid, I wanted the best players, so I had no money left. And I wanted to have a couple beers, so I'd have even less money left. And it finally got to a point where it was just over. I had met with every agent, every manager, any record company that would, I never got in the door, but at least, I'd get a meeting at a bar. And I was like, shit, did they talk to each other? Because they would all say the same thing. They would go, you're a talented kid. But there's nothing here, man. There's no way for this to ever work. And, and so when I finally got that meeting and David finally took me in to talk to Tom Whalley, the president of Warner in the US, I realized that there was, maybe if you want to talk about one moment, and it's not a moment that made me, but it's a moment where I landed on a shore and literally I would live or die. I was going to break through to the beach at Normandy or I wasn't. And if not, it would have been over. And the president was sitting like this. I sat down and he said, hi, why should we sign you? We have Sinatra on reprise. And I said, with all due respect, Mr. Whalley, he's gone, he's dead. I said, but if you give me a chance, I will work my ass off and I will try to take over. I will try to keep this music alive and, stand on the shoulders of my heroes and make you proud, And 3 or 4 days later, they called and said, you are with Warner. And that changed my life forever.
And I'm feeling good. Thank you, Canada. I'm feeling good. There she is. You're every line, you're every word, you're everything.
So however you measure it, #1 albums, singles that have been played around the world, the concert dates you have, you are a huge success now. So I was trying to think like
I don't think you mentioned Sexiest Man Alive with People Magazine, but that's
Were you the
okay.
sexiest man alive
Not
on People Magazine?
the sexiest man alive, but
Top
I was
20?
in the magazine.
Ah.
It may have been an ad I paid for. I don't know.
Yes, you're right. Next time I'll lead with
I
that.
just think it's important not to go gloss over that.
But what's it like to have Paul McCartney call you
Sir Paul?
Like, how is that? Like,
Oh my God, are you
mind-boggling?
kidding me? This is, well, it's cool now because you know what? It went like this. Hey, Sir Paul, it's Michael Bublé. Hey, man, I know that you were talking about me doing one of your tunes, and it's a great song. But I think that for me to really do this in a way that it's deserving, I think it would be amazing if you produced. And then he said, oh, you know what? Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to. And then this is the truth. And then he said, hello? Hello? And I said, hi. And he said, oh, I thought I lost you. I said, no, I just, I said, no, I just might have pooped my pants, I said. And the truth is, I was in my car, pulled over in Los Angeles, and in that time that he had said yes, I had done this. Literally, like that. And then when he came in, I was so cool. Hey, Sir Paul, how are you? But I mean, I still have moments like that every day. This will never, I am so Burnaby. You can take the boy out of Burnaby, but don't ever think you can take the Burnaby out of the boy. Dude, I did that when I met you today.
Of course you did.
Yes.
Of course you did.
Ian's here, I can't believe it.
Yes, I sense that for sure. Speaking of Paul McCartney, the Beatles obviously had this new single with the help of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Does that scare you? Not their project, but AI and music.
I think it's the Wild West. I think we're going to have to figure it out. I think if we can get around the legality of this new technology and make sure that artists and creators are rewarded and compensated for their work or their intellectual property, then I'm okay with that. I just think that we have to get started. I think as artists, we have to join together and start to take a stand against things we feel strongly about, and that's going to be hard. But it's interviews like this too, where I know I have an opportunity to look out there and say, Taylor Swift, this is your job. Lead us, Taylor. I am part of your army. I am a Swiftie. And Michael Bublé is telling you right now, you call Sharon, and Sharon calls Drake or something, I will be there with you guys. But we need to start doing something, because this is crazy.
How often are you on the road?
I've said this before, I'll say it again. I am literally the most financially irresponsible touring act probably on the planet.
Because you don't do it enough?
It's not enough. I just won't leave my kids. If they can't come with me, then I'm doing 3 weeks on and 2 weeks off and 3 weeks on and 2 weeks off. I understand that if I'm not happy in my real life and my home life, if I don't think I'm a good father, or if I can't make out with my wife enough, then I'm going to be terrible out there. I'll be miserable. I can't fake it. And I need them. I need them. They sustain me, and I happen to fall in love with my hero. There's this woman who loves me, who keeps me grounded, who makes me laugh. She's just my everything.
For a kid out there watching,
yeah,
who is 14 or 15 years old and weirdly loves music from a completely different era, and is unique, but maybe a little weird, and not sure of themselves, what do you say to him or her?
Oh, own it. Be so weird. It's so beautiful to be so weird. Own it. Know that you're special and unique, and go and download and steal and borrow and find yourself through all your heroes, and then gently stand on their shoulders and continue their legacy. It doesn't matter if you're playing for one person or 1 million people. It doesn't. Just know that the relationship that you have with that music will never disappoint you. Your partner might break up with you. You might get fired from work. You might fail the math test, but you will never, ever find disloyalty in that deep, romantic relationship you have with music and the songs. It'll stay with you your whole life,
There is a lot more of that interview, including how he came up with his biggest hits and his love of hockey. You can probably guess what NHL team he adores. The full interview is available on the Nationals YouTube page right now. And that love of hockey will be on full display next month. Bublé will be one of the celebrity captains at the NHL All-Star Game in Toronto, and he's going up against some prominent Canadians, Justin Bieber, Tate McRae, Will Arnett. Lots of star power on and off the ice. A Whitehorse school is moving away from banning nuts, and some parents are worried others will follow suit.
The parent of a child who can die from ingesting something, I never have a sense of security.
The reason behind the shift and the response to those concerns. An elementary school is now allowing foods once thought to be dangerous.
We basically all agreed that nuts and peanuts were nutritious.
But lifting the ban on nuts is making some parents uneasy.
As a parent of a child who can die from ingesting something, I never have a sense of security, ever, never.
So why are some schools making the change? Deanna Sumanak-Johnson explains there's Canadian research behind it.
At this Whitehorse Elementary School's cafeteria, happy sounds of kids reconnecting after the holidays. And a few sights you wouldn't have seen in Canadian schools in years. Nuts and peanuts are now allowed for students in grade 3 and up. The initiative says the principal came from the parents. The school invited them for a big meeting.
We basically all agreed that nuts and peanuts were nutritious and they were part of healthy eating habits. So parents were very aware of the research, and they were also very aware of the risks, like the pros and cons of allowing.
The school does have other measures in place. Youngest grades still have food restrictions, and the office is stocked with EpiPens.
For years, banning things like nuts and peanut butter from Canadian schools was considered the gold standard in preventing severe allergic reactions in students. But a major 2021 study led by Canadian researchers found that there just isn't enough good evidence that bans even work.
I don't know if they have what.
Dr. Susan Wasserman was the lead researcher on that study.
What we found is that there wasn't great literature to support the practice.
But the study came with major caveats.
If you are going to eliminate food restriction as just one of the things that may work, that everything else has to be in place. Meaning that the staff and whoever looks after children do have to be aware of who the food allergic children are. Epinephrine auto-injectors need to be on site and preferably carried by the students.
Plus, of course, rigorous hand washing and cleaning of surfaces. But those best practices may not be possible in all schools.
The first module is all about food allergy.
Food Allergy Canada is an organization dedicated to helping Canadians who live with food allergies, a group that includes at least 600,000 school children.
We have to balance, the desire to send in nutritious lunches without any restrictions to the safety of these children.
This expert says schools are advised to have many policies in place, not just bans, but that those recommendations have to contend with reality. Some schools are so strapped for staff that older kids supervise younger kids' lunches.
When it comes to removing restrictions or removing bans, I think that a lot of schools will be very hesitant to consider that because it does have a lot of implications.
Simon, now 9, almost died when he was 18 months old. His throat started closing after he had a single cashew.
It completely changed kind of the trajectory I thought I was on as a parent.
Sending Simon to school leaves his parents racked with anxiety, something they say would be even worse if more schools were to scrap food bans.
Why reverse it? What if the argument is that it is giving people a false sense of security? I want to assure everybody that as a parent of a child who can die from ingesting something, I never have a sense of security, ever, never.
Deanna, how likely is it that more schools will scrap the bans?
Well, Ian, Dr. Wasserman believes that change won't happen anytime soon, but she sees a move in this direction, generally speaking. And Canada is certainly not the only country dealing with this issue. Australia also has some new research that suggests bans are not as effective as once thought. And the UK does not have blanket bans in place, but use lots of other measures to keep kids safer. Allergy UK points to that false sense of security from restrictions we mentioned and say that bans don't prepare children for environments where nuts may be present. Instead, they advocate for education and awareness.
Such an interesting issue. Thanks, Deanna.
Thank you so much, Ian.
Coming up, a Canadian's twist on the classic snow shovel.
Don't have to lift anymore, so you just put it aside, then
How it's designed to save your back. Next, in our moment. You're looking at the snow shovel for seniors. It is a prototype designed by a retired custodian, and it's aimed at saving your back. Paul Rubicall built it almost entirely out of salvaged parts, and tonight his creative solution to an age-old problem is our moment.
This is one of my inventions. In the school, we call it the snow shovel for seniors. Instead of lifting the shovel, if you the ordinary shovel, you have to just bend the shovel and just dump the snow. So since I'm already getting old, so I developed this one to save my back. So you just put it aside. Then I'm an inventor, but back in the Philippines, I was the first to patented the folding bicycle back in 1982. Because back home when I was a kid, I don't have the luxury of buying kids. So I make my own toys. You can always improve anything, because necessity is the mother of invention. Instead of lifting the shovel, you don't have to bend. And you turn it in the side, and you can dump the snow there. It's not simple, but it helps my back.
So first of all, I love tinkerers or, people who, and you probably know one, who have little inventions to kind of deal with household problems. The other thing is, that's the Nationals moment. It is just crying out for the Dragon's Den moment. Thank you for being with us. You can watch anytime, anywhere on the free CBC News app and subscribe to the Nationals YouTube channel. I'm Ian Hannamansing in Vancouver. See you Friday.